Hi, everyone. Just off the top, I want to thank people who have been following my content. If you're new here, I'm Born Free 44. I also go by Born Free or Die Fighting on my various social media platforms. For those who've taken notice, I've not posted much of anything of my own the past, I don't know, 3 to 5 days, I think it's been. Fear not, I'm okay. I haven't been kidnapped or anything by ICE. I just been taking a little bit of a break. There's a lot going on. I'm also had like a thing going on with my throat for a little bit. I'm not sure what that is, but it gets pretty irritated and makes me cough and stuff. Especially when I talk for a little longer, it gets more irritated. Like I can feel it now. So I might slow down on my posting for a little bit until this gets cleared up. Probably talk to my doctor, but for anybody who was worried about me, thank you, and I'm okay. Next video is I'm going to cover some of the topics that I want to talk about over the next handful of days. So stay tuned for that. So while I've been out, there's been quite a bit going on that I want to talk about. The concentration camps have recently been visited by people like Maxwell Frost, our representatives, and they're not being given full access to those facilities. And they basically got invited in. So it's somewhat of an announced visit, which tells me there's some covering up going on where they're like sort of cleaning things up to an extent. But what's been revealed is still very much alarming. So I'll talk about that in some upcoming videos. There's been some people that went back and did some violent pushback with ICE in Texas. I'll touch on that. The Trump tweet after that, or Trump social media post after that, is pretty alarming. So that's something I want to cover in an upcoming video. There's a lot going on. What else? Just overall, like I think there's things that we need to do. I want to do some follow up after my stop ICE video, and this is how we fight them. I believe there's some more efforts that we need to make, and I want to talk about those. I'll touch back. Thanks. I also want to touch on the fact that I did have some dialogue with a Trump supporter recently, where we had a little bit more dialogue in a follow up like private conversation, which I thought was kind of interesting. You know, we have some similar background. Like we both spent time in different parts of New York, and we both now live in California. It's pretty revealing, though, talking to people that support this Republican regime, like people that claim that they're for law and order and they care about the Constitution, but they certainly don't seem to understand the US law, international law, our Constitution. Like, I know right wingers tend to just disregard international law, but like the US has to, they still have to abide by international law. We're still bound by that. And we're certainly bound by US law and where those things overlap. So I always find that interesting where they'll sit there and try to argue that the things that ICE is doing are somehow legal, but like you really need to scratch your head a little bit about that, considering the fact that like these people don't identify themselves, they not cover their faces, and my battery died. So I'll touch back. Thanks. All right. So there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but it's going to be hard because I'm literally still I'm some kind of sick. I have something going on with my throat, so it's hard for me to make content right now, but I'll do my best. So there is genuinely a massive rift right now among even Trump supporters with this whole situation with the Epstein files. I want you to pay close attention to what people that seem like they side with the Democrats, but they're people that I have been very cautious about promoting their content because they have a strong tendency to fight progressives at every single turn. In a recent video, I talked about the fact that I think this time right now is a good opportunity. It's one of many, I think, to see who is with the rest of us. And by that, I mean people that want real change in our system and want things to be better for all Americans. And I mean, I would argue, that also includes anybody who wants to come here in the future or anybody who's been mistreated by this country in the past. I want us to move forward on a path of diplomacy. I want us to honor whatever agreements we had in the past. I want us to address the harms that we've done in the past while we take care of everybody. And I want us to have a much true, like a true, strong disdain for the wealthy people of society that keep taking everything from us and keep making things worse and worse and worse. And they're truly un-American and unpatriotic anytime that they're funding efforts to block us from having progressive policies. Like, there's no good reason why this country cannot go back to a model that has worked in the past and works elsewhere around the world. That's having a democratic socialist type of a system. So stronger democracy, stronger checks and balances, and a much stronger safety net. So think like Norway, right? Think of models that actually work really well. That's what we want. So that's what I mean. For so people that want real change, like I think the MAGA people want real change too. It's just they keep fighting people that are on the left because they don't understand that progressives actually want real reform, and we're not really allies with the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party is way to the right of us, where they, they'll aid and abet rich billionaires. They'll make us stuck in a system of like neoliberal type economics where we're tied to private interests, and those people get more and more power. And then once they have enough power, they can kind of circumvent democracy, they can circumvent the law. So on and on and on it goes. So Democrats are not like, they are a necessary ally until we can reform things sufficiently because of the two-party system. But primarily the establishment Democrats, they effectively act as controlled opposition. The real enemy of all of us are the wealthy people that control our politics. They control the private sector. They're the ones that are blocking us from having, like, they killed the American dream. Like, if you want to look at the people that are overwhelmingly responsible for making the American dream impossible for basically all of us except for the very wealthy, they're the murderers of the American dream. They're the ones who, own private equity. They're the ones who locked in with the Republican Party, that their entire apparatus rigged the system in favor of the wealthy elite. And for things like Citizens United, which allows for super PACs and almost unlimited money. The Republicans are trying to make that even worse, if you can believe it. They want no limits to campaign contributions. The right wing has utilized their right wing churches to act as powerful political players, to recruit people as funding operations and supporting the Republican Party. It's just wild. Like, poor people are supporting the people that are literally like ready to rip the food out of their mouth, ready to take over the fields with the crops that feed them. They're stripping the workers away that pick those crops. So I say all that to say this: it's all of us versus the moneyed interest, which the mafia Republican Party are the ones that are propping up the robber baron oligarchs, and they're trying to consolidate even more power. Like, they want to tank the economy so they can own all the land, all the businesses, and make us serfs. Like, this is not what makes this country a better country for anyone. It makes it a hell of a lot worse and nearly unrecognizable. Like, if you want a comparison, you're gonna have to go all the way back to like the Dark Ages, when we had kings ruling over certain lands, and effectively they're like a CEO, which is what Curtis Yarvin believes should happen. People like Peter Thiel funding people like JD Vance. So if they ever, if the powerful interests ever decide to move against Trump, they could do it in a heartbeat, and then they would probably try to prop up JD Vance, who's all in on this dark enlightenment idea of techno feudalism. But there's a rift right now with the whole Epstein file stuff. They went from, people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino that were promoting the idea that, the Democrats are all like pedophiles and rapists and all this other stuff. While they didn't really talk about the fact that like Trump is all over the Epstein files. They've been like public about the fact that they've been friends for over 10 years. There's evidence in the court records, there's videos, there's photos. What's his name? Stephen Wolf, I think. I may have the guy's first name wrong, but it was Wolf that had done interviews and did a lot of investigative kind of journalism about all this stuff. And he's seen pictures with young women and Trump in a pair of like underwear with a stain, and the girls were pointing at the stain. And they're young girls. So So there's a rift about them saying, well, we have the files. Pam Bondi said they're on my desk. We just have to go through it. And now they're saying there is no Epstein client list. And then Trump is now backpedaling, saying that that the Obama just manufactured evidence, which is like it's completely bogus. You know what I want to? Here's what I want to say about this. I think the real problem is it's revealing to me that this stuff didn't go public, or not enough of it went public when Trump was president the first time, and then Biden. I don't remember us hearing very much of anything during Biden's presidency, aside from I forget when Ghislaine Maxwell got locked up for her involvement. But of course, like a woman went behind bars. But never mind the people that were on the list, that there was plenty of evidence and plenty of allegations. Like there was like 30 women that had allegations against Trump and Epstein. And I'm sure there's plenty of powerful people that were involved with Epstein, not just the honeypot scheme, but he was a power player and had a lot of connections. So I would argue there's probably not that many powerful people that did not have connections with Epstein. And I also want to say that what concerns me is the whatever involvement that Epstein had with Assad and that sweetheart deal that he got during the first Trump presidency with Acosta, who I forget what the terms were, but it was kind of an unheard of thing. And the only way that makes any sense is you're dealing with somebody who is very powerful, who has a lot of connections, who has dirt on a lot of people. And I would imagine that's not a partisan thing. That's like Democrats, Republicans, other very wealthy people that had connections and were involved with, Fredophilia. I don't want to say it because I'll get my content taken down, and other dealings. So what my preference would be is all of it to come out, and the best disinfectant is daylight. Like make it public, and then prosecute anybody who's remotely involved in crimes, and take down everybody that basically Israel and other powerful people have compromised, and they have sway over. They have influence over. We can't have that. So, like sometimes the best way to deal with a bomb is just to set it off safely. So, I think all these people need to go down for the benefit and for the security of the country. Like no other country should have the ability to manipulate our government and our domestic policy and our foreign policy, especially when it goes directly against U.S. interests and the American people's interests, and that's our tax dollars. So there's a rift right now, and I think we should keep posting about the Epstein files and the connections that like anything that's been made public, just keep putting it out there. That like post different parts of the evidence against Trump, post different parts against if there's stuff in there about Bill Clinton. I don't care who it is. I think all of them should go down. If they did dirty, they should go down. Like nobody should be above the law, and it's in everybody's best interest that the people that engaged in heinous crimes get prosecuted for them. That's what our law says is supposed to happen. I've got my beefs with some parts of the law. Like I'm not a big fan of the part of the 13th Amendment that basically allows for slave labor. Like I would much prefer actual reforms to our criminal justice system. So it's not just based on punitive justice; it's based on restorative justice. Like we understand that the main factors that contribute to the most crime is wealth inequality. So I'll talk about the reforms that we need in our society in another video, but really you should be looking at Norway's model. It's not about homogeneous populations where they have a better system for all people and people rate happier. It's that they have basically a form of like democratic socialism where they have a much stronger safety net. There's wealth inequality is dealt with a lot better with higher taxes and things like universal health care, and people have more time for themselves. Like we get gaslit in this country over fucking everything. Dang, I hope I can censor that because I'm gonna get my content like restricted. So yeah, I'll just say this real quick. If you guys hear me being a little bit less loud and aggressive and less swearing in my videos, it's because I'm trying to reach a broader audience, and I don't want to get restricted by TikTok. And also, please follow me on my other social media channels because I'm hearing that TikTok is being bought by Oracle, and they're going to be using a different app that basically serves as the same thing as TikTok, but it's going to be much more heavily surveilled, and they're going to be scraping our data. And I think that's going to make people like me a target very quickly. I don't know if I really have to worry just yet, because I'm not that big. But if I get bigger over time, it's something I definitely have to be worried about as things are progressing. So this is a situation where we should be poking the bear about the Epstein files. We should be demanding accountability. We should say that nobody is above the law. The list should be made public. Ro Khanna is basically, he put something up saying that the Epstein list should be made public, and I agree with that. Ro Khanna is not perfect. I'm not saying everything he does is perfect. I'm just going to point out when he does things that are, I think, make sense, and that's true for all politicians. I don't think it's healthy to worship any political figure. I think you should be careful about what heroes you pick. I think you should probably pick not worship, but like point out things that you value and you see as beneficial, not as a total person. If you get wrapped up in a person and their personality and all that stuff, you may be let down someday, which sort of has a way of weakening some of the things that you actually like care about. So anyway, that's just some free advice. All right, guys, I have to get going because my throat's killing me. Take care of yourselves. Stay strong. Keep resisting. There's some products out there right now that I want to point out. I'm going to be making changes on I'm going to be updating my Patreon to add some more spaces on there for action that you guys can take. So that might be like resources to find where there's strikes going on or where there's protests going on, ways that we can be more conscious and not do as much harm and support people that we should support, like Black owned businesses. There's a book out there called Black AF History that I'm going to be buying, and people that I watch and I'm interested in their content, and we have similar values have promoted it. And that's been multiple creators that I watch and support. So I'm going to check it out, and I would encourage you to check it out. Yeah, so I will have stay tuned for that stuff. I'm gonna pretty soon. I'm gonna have to slow down on my content though, because I'm gonna be going back to work because I was just off for a couple months for the summer. So I'll let you know when that starts. You'll probably notice, but I'll still try to put out content for you guys and keep everybody up to speed on what's going on and what actions we should be taking. Oh, the Progressive Victory. Check them out. They need people to do some phone banking and donate to them. I'll try to drop a link in the description. Vosh has like a running ad right now. We're trying to help Deja Fox get elected in Arizona. She's a young woman. She was part of the Kamala Harris campaign. She's challenging, well, she's running for this position because the politician, the Democrat that was in office, died. Again, like we need kind of an age cap for both parties. So that's a whole other thing. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. I love you very much. Stay in the fight. And this is a space for anybody who is trying to have a better world and a less cruel world, a world that values people over money and, you know, mediocrity. There's a reason why we had DEI in the first place, because talented people were getting left behind because of, well, racism. Yeah. So I'm not a white supremacist. I fully disagree with their position. I think they're wrong. I don't think there's anything superior about, like, being white does not make you super at anything. It's just a weird philosophy that is just based on bad cherry picked science from people that had some kind of mental health issues, if not multiple. Imagine if these people just got therapy instead of trying to like ruin the world for everyone else. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Love you. Bye.